The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News is brought to you by Flow.
Tonight, the island's roads record yet another gruesome motorcycle accident. 42 new cases of COVID-19 are confirmed, and a weekend of torrential rains wreak havoc across the island. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Monday, the 23rd of August, 2021. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. A worrisome spate of vehicular crashes and collisions involving motorcycles continues after two males sustained serious injuries during a vehicular collision outside the Harbour Club Hotel in the north of the island over the weekend. Fire Service spokesperson Stacey Joseph has more.
Officers at the Groseley Fire Station responded to a motor vehicular incident near the Rodney Bay Marina on Saturday, 21st August at approximately 5:15 p.m. The information received stated that there was a collision between a motorcycle and another vehicle. The responding officers found one male individual who was identified as the rider of the motorcycle underneath a vehicle appearing to be unresponsive. A rapid assessment revealed that the patient sustained abrasions to his leg and facial trauma. He was immobilized and provided rapid emergency transportation to the OKEU hospital. Another male individual, who was identified as the pillion rider of the motorcycle, was found with an apparent open fracture to one of his legs. His wound was dressed and he was immobilized and transported to the OKEU hospital in a stable condition.
Joseph reported that for the weekend of the 20th to the 23rd of August, the St. Lucia Fire Service recorded 93 ambulance responses, inclusive of both the north and the south of the island. 6 of those were motor vehicular incidents, 2 were related to physical assaults, and the other 2 were fire-related. The heavy rains experienced over the weekend left substantial damage behind. 2 houses were damaged, whilst another is being closely monitored. Multiple landslides and floods were reported around the island. The director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Doreen Gustav, spoke to Hot 7 TV News on Monday about the registered damages.
At least one family has been displaced following the weather system from this past weekend. St. Lucia experienced heavy rainfall over the weekend due to a tropical wave in the region. A flood warning was issued on Friday for the island as flooding and landslides were expected. Communities all over the island experienced the effects of the heavy rainfall. That is according to the director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Doreen Gustav.
We have homes that were impacted because of land slippage and flooding also, but the major ones were a landslide in Bocage, where a house was pushed off its pillars, and it's just there. It is dangerous. They've asked the family members to not try to go in there because all of their belongings are still in the house. However, no one got hurt. The landslide came to the back of the house and pushed the house, and it's slightly bent, so persons cannot access, the family members cannot access the items in the house. They have, however, been evacuated to a neighbor's home. They spent 2 nights there, and a member from the church has given them a month in an apartment where they'll be staying.
Gustav explained that she visited the family and NEMO has begun assisting in terms of getting them food and clothing supplies, in addition to mattresses. She says another property in Marigot was affected, and the organization is closely monitoring a property in Tiroshi Castries.
The house was destroyed also. However, there was nobody living in the house at the time. The owner of the house, from my reports, is living overseas, but a sister was the caretaker of that house. So thankfully, there was no one in the house at the time. There are other areas that we have received minor impacts from landslides. This morning, I received a call from a family in Tiroshi Castries where a house is in danger of sliding. there was a landslide nearby and the house is moving from reports. That's what the owner of the house told me. I have contacted the District Disaster Committee, who is right now in contact with the family member, and will be visiting the family during the course of the day.
She says NEMO is in contact with the Ministry of Infrastructure, who is working assiduously to ensure that roadways and other affected areas are cleared. Gustav says, according to her reports, most communities got affected to some level by the weather system.
We got reports of flooding in Soufrière and various low-lying communities, and also of landslides throughout the island. Soufrière in particular, there is a major land slippage in the Colombette area, and this road is impassable. I think most communities were touched. The major issues where homes were destroyed was in Bocage, Marigot, and just the report that I received this morning from Chiroshi. But reports are still coming in as the day progresses.
The NEMO director is urging members of the public to do their part in ensuring the securing of their property. She has also urged the public to ensure that drains are cleared in order to ensure rainwater has a clear pathway. Members of the public are being reminded that St. Lucia is still in the hurricane season and all precaution should be taken. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
This past weekend was a rather wet one with significant rainfall and flooding on Friday. Whilst it is the rainy season and such adverse weather is expected, it has been revealed that this trend will continue throughout the course of the week. The director of the St. Lucia Met Services, Andre Joyer, provides a roundup of the weather over the weekend and what is expected throughout this week.
St. Lucia experienced yet another tropical wave over the weekend consisting of torrential rain resulting in widespread flooding. The director of the St. Lucia Met Services, Andre Joyer, explained that the heavy rains were as a result of the tropical wave and gives an update on the forecast for the coming days.
We just had a tropical wave give us a lot of rainfall last night. This was enhanced by the intertropical convergence zone. And we are expecting another tropical wave maybe tomorrow. But ahead of that wave, the intertropical convergence zone will most likely give us some rainfall tonight. So we will be issuing a flood warning later today.
St. Lucia is set for a very wet, rainy season. Joyer goes on to provide an explanation for the consistent heavy rainfall the island has been experiencing.
Right now, the intertropical convergence zone is enhancing the waves. So Friday, we had significant rainfall from those two systems coupling. The intertropical convergence zone is normally located south of us, but it has raised up. I believe it would be because of the number of tropical waves that is lined up in the Atlantic right now. I think we have about 4 of them presently, so they will be coming in one after the other, and that has raised the intertropical convergence zone to, I think it has gone as far as Martinique, and because of its presence, our forecast would still go for heavy showers.
Joyer continues to urge individuals who reside in flood-prone areas to pay attention to weather advisories and also urges small craft operators and sea bathers to exercise caution. Reporting for the Hot 7 Nightly News, I am Karim Nelson.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Infrastructure informs the general and motoring public that due to land slippage in Colombette-Soufrière, the West Coast Road from and through to Soufrière is now temporarily impassable until further notice. The ministry is working with teams from Lucelec to safely clear the roadway. Further notice will be issued when it is safe for the public to traverse this section of the road. The ministry takes this opportunity to remind the public to remain vigilant and alert and to pay close attention to notices and severe weather alerts issued by the St. Lucia Met Services and or NEMO. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. Still to come, the introduction of the Pfizer vaccine brings in new hope. The Anglican Church encourages vaccination, and an environmentalist speaks on St. Lucia's future amidst the impact of global climate change. That and more after the break.
The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News was brought to you by Flow.